Everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Show Me How It's Done. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I have a very fun fold for you today, and I hope that you do tune in every Tuesday at noon because we have new videos every single week for you. So this is the card I'm going to show you how to do today. I know it's kind of popping out at you and the camera doesn't really like that, but look how fun this is. It reminds me of, when you're in elementary school and you made those origami frogs. This kind of fold seems like the legs to make the frog hop. So this is my little pop out frog hopping card. I wanted to share with you where I got the inspiration for this card. And while she does admit that she doesn't remember the person she got the measurements from, this was a card made by my friend Shannon Andel. She made it quite a few years ago, and you'll notice that it's kind of been taken apart because I may or may not have dissected it in order to get all the measurements to figure this card out. So this adorable card, also by a fellow demonstrator, is one that you can use some of your old citrus bundles for, or maybe something current like the Mediterranean blooms to recreate. And if you're looking for one more idea, I did also feature this fold at my July monthly card class. So ignore my little post-it. This is my note to myself with all the dimensions whenever I make something new. And I keep it on my sample so that I can recreate them in the future. But this was one that I made with my attendees at club this month. Now, my monthly club is $15 or free with a $35 order. And that does go for any of you who can't come in person. I have a to-go video very similar to this with all the measurements and pieces that you need to complete your projects, and I can mail those anywhere in Canada. So if you do end up shopping on my website and you receive a little brown envelope in the mail, that's what the gift is. It's just a little thank you for supporting my business and a little way for my customers to make this fun fold. I did mention to them that the paper I used for the hot air balloon card here has retired. It was part of our 2023 to 2024 selection of papers in the catalog, but the bundle did carry over. So you can still use the bundle and then you can sub in for anything else that you might have on hand. A couple that I suggested to people to use were the Lily Pond Lane Designer Series paper. That's going to be the set that I'm using on my card today. But I thought the checkered, the stripes, even the dots, some of those could go really well with a hot air balloon as well. Or if they wanted a bit more color, they could have also chosen the Unbounded Beauty Designer Series paper. So you'll have to pardon me, there's not a lot left in this packet, but you can see it's a nice assortment of colors. It's all our new in colors, so you can easily use that with the balloons as well. Pardon me, I am yawning. All right, let's wake up. Do you notice I matched my dress to the card today? It's called Lily Pond Lane. I thought this was the closest dress that I had to that. So let's get crafting. We are going to work together on both parts of the card, but I'm going to walk you through a few things that you're going to need to pause my video for as soon as I tell you what to cut, because I already have these cut. Now, I'm going to put this down maybe with a block. I know you can't see it as well, but it'll be nicer for the camera to focus. Okay, I would like to start with this little panel here. That's all the stuff we're going to cut first. Okay, hopefully that's it. Pretty Peacock, you need one square that is 3 by 3. All the measurements are also in the description. You need a Designer Series paper, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. A piece of basic white, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. While you're cutting, you might as well cut a little piece of designer paper for these. I switched what I wanted to use. I'm going to use 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. That's these two panels here. Then we're going to get die cutting. So if you own the Stylish Shapes dies, this is the second largest of the circles. If you don't, that's okay. If you had a circle punch or anything else that you can use in place of that, it's completely fine. Okay, and then we've got the Charming Duck Pond gorgeous set of dies. So I'm using this double cattail in Granny Apple Green, and then another set in Peach Pie. And that's how I get the two-toned little cattail look. I'm going to use this 3 lily pad die just one time to get a Granny Apple Green lily pad. Pretty in Pink flower. We're just using one, it does cut out 2. Then we're going to use our designer series paper or your stamp set, whatever you prefer, to cut out your little duck of choice. You can do a duck or a mallard. Here I'll show you my little bin of ducks that I've been busy cutting out, because I'm still going to use this suite for a card coming up at some point. Look at all the ducks. These are all from the designer series paper. You can get so many ducks out of your papers. And then our sentiment is coming from this set as well. I chose to use Happy Birthday, but there is a longer one here that says You Make Me Happy. So when I cut my scrap of paper for that, I did end up cutting it a little longer, and I'm not seeing my scrap. Hold on. Let me cut a new one. Sometimes my scraps run through. Okay, let's cut a new piece. We're gonna make it 1/2 inch by 3 or 4 inches, whatever your scrap has. Something that's long enough for you to stamp a sentiment on, and then you can always come and trim it later. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's Mama Duck, 1 Pretty in Pink flower, 2 Granny Apple Green bulrushes, 2 Peach Pie, and 1 little lily pad. Since you're cutting also, go ahead and cut your base. This is going to be Peach Pie 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. I will show you how to score this later. This is going to be done later. But here's where you should hit pause and cut all these pieces out. Right, you're unpaused, right? Okay, we're gonna start gluing these so they have a chance to dry. So I'm bringing, sorry, I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. I'm going to glue my flower to the lily pad. I've got my 2 grass pieces, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these orange bulrushes off and glue them on over top of the green little grass. So 1, 2, that's how you're getting a nice 2-toned look. You could have done this with any color. A soft suede would look really nice. Or if you really don't want to do this step, you could take a lens marker and color the top of the bulrush. That would give you a nice 2-tone look as well. But I like the paper. I think it looks cute. I'm choosing not to put both flowers on here because the duck ends up covering up one of my lily pads right there. So there's really no point wasting the second one. I can use it on a project in the future. Okay. Don't want to add more detail than you need to if nobody's going to see it. So layering those over top of one another, we're going to make sure these have a chance to dry, which is why we're putting them first. And then we're just going to move them to the side of the table while we focus on some of the other assembly pieces of the card. And 2. Okay. Now I'm going to focus on building my decal a little bit more. So I've got my cardstock and my pattern designer series paper. This guy is going to get attached either with seal or tape or glue, something flat. Whoa. Okay. That one did not want to go. trouble with these papers is there's too many sides that are great. You could go either way with this, but I really love Pretty Peacock, so I'm going to use this piece of designer series paper as well. Go. All right. Now your circle here, this stylish shape circle, you're popping up on dimensionals, and right now it doesn't matter which way is up. Once we get this on the card, we'll have to pay a bit more attention to where we put other pieces, but at the moment, we're just doing everything very easy. Got all of these layers to attach. So dimensionals on the circle so that it starts to kind of come out of the card a little bit for you. And then you can kind of just turn it and see which way you like the diamond to face. I actually think a diamond facing this way is really cute because then I have a couple flowers on each side. Here's where we're going to start adding in our details. So one cattail, put a little bit of glue just down at the bottom. Don't worry about putting any on the leaves or anything. It's going to be more of a pain. This is going to go on the right-hand side of your circle. And now keep in mind, this should be a diamond at the moment. You don't want it to be a square because that's not how it's going on our card. We want it to be a diamond. Turn it so it's a diamond, and then add these pieces on. Okay, and then one kind of right in the middle. Two bulrushes over each other. Your lily pads, put a couple dots of glue in the middle of those and put them just over the bottom. You can come off the circle. That looks just fine. Now when it comes to your duck, we are going to pop her up on dimensionals. If you're doing a more masculine card, you probably would have picked something like the dragonfly background or even the Pretty Peacock dots. And then you could put the mallard duck to make this kind of a more guy card as well. So mini dimensionals fit perfectly on the back of your duck. And then she's just going to get popped up right on your card front. Now the sentiment I mentioned, I'm using happy birthday, but you certainly can grab the You Make Me Happy as well, or anything else you have in your collection. I'm going to use Pretty Peacock ink and stamp right in the middle of that 1/2 inch square. And then you will notice it's very long. So you can grab your trimmer if you're worried about this, or if you're confident or willing to try it, go ahead and just snip that edge. And you have this cute little rectangle that we can also pop up on dimensionals and add to our card. There we go. I'm just tucking this kind of behind the duck a little bit, trying to make sure it's as straight as it can be. There we go. I'm very happy with that decal, so I'm going to set it to the side, and along with that white piece, we will deal with that closer to the end. Same with this guy here. Let's worry about our base. So remember, we were using peach pie. It is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, and we're going to grab our scoreboard or your your Stampin' Trimmer, whatever you prefer. I'm going to use the scoreboard. I was trying to do this earlier and I used this trimmer, but it was hard for you guys to see. So I'm going to use this guy because I think it'll make the grooves a little bit more defined. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score at 2 inches. Then we're going to score at 4. Then we're going to score at 6 1/8. So not at the 6 mark, but 1 tick mark off of that. Okay, so now keep these sections because we're going to make diagonal lines in this little square. But if you were to fold this in half now, you would see that one side is smaller and one side is bigger, okay? So 4-inch mark. This is going to be our pivot point. So you can line it to anything in the middle of your board, but you want, I'm going to use this black line. I drew a black line down the middle of my 6 here. So I don't know if you can see the whole thing. There we go. So that I can see now from the top down to the bottom. Here's my 6, and I'm matching that 4-inch line still in the groove to the corner of the 6-inch line here. So I just took a black Sharpie and did that, so it was easy to visualize. Then we're going to rotate and go the other way. So again, I'm trying to fit this in your screen here. I'm lining up that bottom end now of the 4 to my corner over here. And I'm going to do one more diagonal line. Okay, so currently this is what your card base should look like. You should have a 2-inch, 4-inch, 6 1/8 inch lines. And then in that area, we've done 2 X's, or 2 diagonal lines to make an X. I'm going to move this so it's ready to go. And we're going to work from the bottom up here. So in the top space, I'd like you to have the X. Then in the bottom, kind of closest to you, we're going to have 2 of these rectangles. So the rectangles here, we're going to fold this one behind. This is making a really sturdy base for our card. If you notice this decal here, it's rather heavy. So if I was just to have one piece of paper in the bottom, the card itself would probably tip. It would just fall over and it would tip down. In fact, if you've got anything that's really heavy in this top part, you probably will want to even add a little bit of chipboard, or you could tape like a couple washers or pennies under there. Whatever you need to keep this base resting on the table and not tipping backwards out of weight and frustration. Okay, so I have bent that piece backwards. Now to make your life easy right now, we're just going to add adhesive in here, and we're going to tape those 2 together so they're out of our way. Often I'll do all my taping at the end, but I find sometimes I'll make mistakes if I don't get things out of my way, if it's a new technique. You could write a funny word in here because nobody's going to see it. We are in fact just closing that up. All right, so turn it back over now. We're back to our kind of bottom section is a rectangle, top section has diagonals. We're going to fold the 2 lines here that are horizontal towards ourselves. So what you'll end up making is kind of a C or an N or a boat or a bowl. And don't stress if you've made a mistake and folded the wrong way. It's easy to fix at this point, okay? But whatever you've got, I'd like both of these folding upwards. They will not be the same length, so don't stress right now saying, oh my goodness, I cut this wrong. This one is longer. They're intended to be that way. Again, don't stress, okay? So you've folded those upwards. The diagonal lines, we're going to fold backwards. We're going to kind of make mountain peaks out of them. So we're going to turn our paper over and fold those backwards. 1, and backwards 2. Now when you have it, we've made a giant mountain or a pyramid or whatever you want to call it. So that pyramid, and then our little rectangle base is still in front of us. This is what you should have at the moment. I want to make sure we're all at the same spot. Now, before we add any adhesive or start gluing on our layers, I like to make sure that this actually is squared up. So the easiest way to do that is we're just going to kind of fold it inwards. We're going to rest it down against the table, and we're going to score it all together. There have been times where I've made this and it just doesn't want to go down properly because somewhere along the line I've scored a little off kilter. And so this is my opportunity to just rest everything in one layer and repress all of those together. Okay. So now we get to add more adhesive. Surprise, surprise. Okay. So we are adding adhesive to this top triangle and the bottom one. I'm going to use tape since it's very easy for you to see what I'm doing. And hopefully we'll be able to get through this section without attaching things the wrong way. So bottom triangle has adhesive. And then my top triangle, oh, my tape is done. Oh, I have another one. Good job. Ran out. We're going to put this in the top section now. Okay, I'm taking my adhesive off the bottom section first. I find that's the easiest one to get done and out of the way. And I'm going to attach this bottom triangle onto my base. Okay, so I no longer am going to have this beautiful fun pyramid. I'm going to turn it into this pop-up amphitheater. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm getting very architectural in this card, can you tell? Now, many of you are probably saying, Lauren, I know what's next. And you are probably correct. We're going to take the adhesive off of this top triangle. And we're going to add the beautiful diamond that we'd made earlier onto that section. So we put the adhesive onto the peach because if you add it to the blue, we're tempted to kind of put too much. And then the part here on the back that sticks up doesn't actually need adhesive. The only thing it needs adhesive for is if you would like to add this white diamond, you have something to write on, a little greeting or something. Now, I will say the surface can be quite uneven to write on. So if you're somebody who prefers to write on a flat surface, then just keep this white square handy. Don't attach it yet. Write on it when you're ready and then put it on at the end. Okay, but remember to write at a diagonal if you decide to put it later. I'm going to throw it on. I find people don't really mind if your writing's a little messy as long as they get a beautiful card. So I'm throwing mine on the back part, and that will give me the ability to just give a quick to, from, happy birthday or thinking of you message in the back. Okay, we're almost done. Gotta fold this back. There will be maybe a time at the end where you need to come back with your bone folder and give all these lines a nice crisp feel, because we tend to move them while we're playing. So here's the card so far, and it's cute. You can leave it like so, but I do really like the idea of putting a little piece of paper into these base pieces. So remember our 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 square. We're going to grab our trimmer and we're going to cut this at a diagonal. So I put 2 points in my tracks. The 2 points are in my cutting zone. I'm slicing down. If you have a non-directional piece of paper like this one, it works best. When I did this sample, I realized that my stripes, I got one going down and one going across. So that's why this one's kind of coming up a little. I have to still add some glue to the sample because I took him off and replaced it onto my other card there. But that's okay. We're going to turn this over. Glue is probably the easiest way to attach these, but don't put a ton, just a couple dots in there. See, the camera doesn't want to focus. It's focusing on the highest point, which is the duckies. There we go. And these will go just in these sections here at the side. One. This is a good use of scraps. Don't cut a brand new piece of paper just to get this triangle. You can easily, I'm sure, find a 1 3/4 square somewhere in your stash. And there you go. Very fun and very vibrant little way to add some birthday cheer to somebody that you know. Whoops, there's a couple different options with the ducks for you. And then I'll bring back Shannon's little guy here so you can see it. And I don't know where my balloons, oh, there. I thought they floated away. There's my balloons, all ready to go. So these are very amusing. It was very fun to try and photograph them because they didn't want to stay flat. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying your summer and that you're spending some time outside. It's been gorgeous out. If you have any questions about any of my videos, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have my website listed at the bottom of the page, so if there's anything that catches your eye and you want to add it to your collection, my stuff does ship anywhere in Canada. If you're somewhere else and you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to help you get connected. So just send me a message and we'll find somebody in your area so that you can take advantage of all the beautiful coordinating products that are out there too. I look forward to crafting with you guys again next Tuesday for another edition of Show Me How It's Done. Bye!